Hi, I'm here with my friend Darren Wallace, a master machinist. Those of you who know this hobby really well have probably heard of Darren, especially those of you who are in the music box field, because he also is a master at fixing those like no one else. What he's brought today is probably one of the heaviest machines I've ever tried to lift, and it's also an extremely rare machine. So Darren, let's take the lid off here.
All right.
Do that.
Well, we open up the front, pull these out.
Typical Columbia.
Yeah. And then very carefully lift the lid off.
Let's throw this over here. All right, what do we got?
This is the very first, everyone knows them as concert records, but Columbia always referred to them as grand records. And Columbia spearheaded the 5-inch cylinder because regular sized brown wax cylinders were quite quiet, and they were trying to find ways of making the cylinders louder. So a larger cylinder with a faster circumferential surface speed allowed for a deeper and louder groove. And this was the first machine ever designed by anyone to play 5-inch cylinders. And it was made by the Columbia Graphophone Company, and the model was called the Gramophone Grand, or the Type GG. If you'll notice, it is suspiciously similar to Edison machines with an end gate and also with a feed screw. So it looks like an Edison concert, but this machine came out before Edison's concert machine. It uses a special extra weighted floating reproducer. And the claim to fame with this machine is twofold. It came from the area which I live in, and it's also, for many years, was the lowest known serial number, which is 46. 46.
Wow.
Unfortunately, Chuck Azzolina informed me that recently number 41 came to light, so it is no longer the lowest serial number.
That's too bad.
What is really cool is that the earliest of these machines has a few features that the later GGs don't have. It has a shaver, and the information boasting the machine's existence and where it was sold and everything is hand painted on the top of the cover. It actually has a cover to protect the feed screw. The later ones had a decal. Whoops. And I don't know, how many serial numbers it got into before they changed the decal. Look at the weight on this feed screw. It's incredible. And I can actually lift this, and the weight and the feed screw half nut only lift enough to get it off of the threads.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's very complex how that design works.
There's an ID tag here too.
There's also an ID tag on that. That makes this machine very special, because I just recently found out that this came from the Columbia Graphophone archives in Bridgeport, Connecticut.
Wow.
And I remembered being at Charlie Hummel's collection that a lot of the graphophone equipment that came from the Columbia archives had these same tags. And a friend of mine pointed out that's what this is. So how in the world did this machine end up in Cortland, Ontario at a flea market? And one of the CAPS members found it and didn't buy it and told Domenic about it.
Oh, wow.
And he said, I didn't buy it because it was too heavy. So Domenic went and bought it for $200.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it had a great story behind it, and it just came from up the road from where I live. And
that's great.
If it could only speak, how did it end up in Cortland, Ontario? Yeah. That's really cool.
Well, let's bring the camera in, and we'll take a look at some of the details here, especially this cover here.
All right.
Okay, let's start with the decal.
Interestingly enough, a lot of the later Graphophone Grands have a decal that says the Graphophone Grand. This one has the regular Graphophone decal.
Yeah. It's got a great cabinet. Oh my God.
Yeah,
I love Columbia stuff.
It is a beautiful machine. And look at that motor. 3 2-inch wide springs, all nickel plated, leather driving gear, and a 4-ball nickel plated governor. And interestingly enough, when this machine was made, the cylinders were run at a much lower RPM, and this machine doesn't have the range to get it up to the faster speeds of the later concert cylinders. And I think that that's inherent to the design. I haven't really studied the machine yet, but I think that that is a legit feature of it.
And there's the ID tag. So tell me about the top here. Wow.
Yeah, the top was hand painted and just,
That's
done by
amazing.
the artisans that worked for the Columbia Phonograph Company.
And there's the tag you were talking about.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Wow.
Now, one thing interesting about the shaver, you'll note that a lot of shavers have like a shield on them to collect or direct shavings. This one does not. And a good friend of mine, Paul Baker, said these machines never had that sort of thing. So the shaver that you see is exactly the way it was made with no missing components.
And there's the reproducer.
And
Quite
it
a
looks
carriage.
like a regular reproducer, but if you notice that this knurled piece is actually much bigger than a regular floater, and there's actually a nickel-plated brass jeweled weight underneath the mica to make it heavier.
Wow. And do you want to lift that up? Let's take a look.
Open this up so you can see.
Wow.
And it's built just like Edison built his Edison concert. It's amazingly similar, but with the major heavy weighted feed nut.
You lift the reproducer carriage up?
Yeah,
You can see it only raises just...
Only raises it just maybe about 20-30 thousandths of an inch, just enough to miss it.
Wow. That's a beautiful machine. Yeah, and I see the end gate. The few that I have don't have end gates. So
There's
I can
only
play...
2 Columbia machines that ever had end gates, and that's the Type N and the Type GG.
Wow.
Ready?
Yep.
There we go.
Okay, Darren, I want to thank you for coming by with this machine. He dragged it all the way from his home. It's a winter day. We were worried that he would slip and fall and we'd end up with 2 machines or 2 halves. But either way, it's a great machine. It's massively heavy, and I really appreciate you coming down and bringing it, Darren.
Glad to do it.
So cool. Thanks a lot.
You're very welcome. Yeah, ho, ho, ho. Santa brought us a GG. None of us can carry it. It's too heavy.